Every part originates as a thought, is moved into the virtual space and developed into a 3D model, transmitted into toolpaths, and translated into G-code. And finally, the parts are milled and finished. This process bears a striking resemblance to traditional techniques. While traditionally, the subdivisions are blurry and traveled through seamlessly, breaking them into these elemental pieces, I feel, does no harm. I want to attempt an approach I often don't consider, and show how I work in the shop and in Fusion360 symmetrically. I offer the Fusion360 files of most of my builds to my Patreons for $1 a month. I wonder if it's possible to follow along with the files and the build intuitively. For me, it seems natural. My inclination is that it is not as inherent to others. I'll do my best to show how I move between these two functions, and how this workflow benefits me. I hope in some way this inspires you to formulate your own unique workflow. There's a constant back and forth between the design and manufacturing environment. Routinely, I need to pop over to the design side and draw or model a feature for reference used in CAM. In the past, this process was very time-consuming, and for this reason alone, I think there's no better way to do this work than in Fusion360. We've concentrated on the design element and on the CNC milling side of this work. I think there are a few nuggets of interest between these pillars. The language gets a little tricky, but let's take it a small piece at a time to make it slightly more palatable. With the design complete, the presumption is that all we need to do is to generate some code and press cycle start. Let's take a look under the bonnet and see how I design and modify a milling strategy. I'll let you decide for yourself just how simple or complex this process is, to say nothing of the creative aspects. I have a relatively simple part to make. It's the spacer between the fretboard and the body. This geometry must fit the contour of the top on one side and be square and true to the back of the fretboard on the other. In a perfect world, I could make this part and it would snap in perfectly. This, in a way, is what the CNC promises. To make it work that way is another story. The dynamic nature of this material and the processes used to form parts make for small changes in the finished product. To adapt to these changes, and at the same time deliver a measure of accuracy, we can take advantage of Fusion360's ability to move between design and manufacturing seamlessly. I'm going to modify this part to make it easier to fit the body, mill the shape, and hand fit the part. These small and seemingly simple parts illustrate the necessity of understanding in both traditional luthiery and modern design and manufacturing. I could use either the 3D pocket or the 3D adaptive operation to clear out the excess material. In this case, the pocket operation would probably be a bit faster, so I go with that one. I select the tool I want to use for my tool library, in this case, a 1/4 inch end mill. I've updated my feeds and speeds within each tool as I see fit. At this point, they're all set in a good place for my typical milling applications. Next, let's look at the Geometry tab. All I need here is to select a machining boundary. So I choose the profile of the part, and then move on to the Passes tab. You can see that I have a 60,000 stock delete, both radially and axial, set as a default. This works for me, and in this case, is right where I want to be. I want to control the step over manually, so I select the checkbox and adjust the minimum and maximum to half of my tool's diameter. I set the bottom height, and finally, I check the linking tab to adjust the lead in and lead out. It's apparent from this toolpath result that a roughing strategy will not be necessary. The consistency of the tool engagement will vary a bit in the finishing passes, but I think we can safely go straight to the finishing pass on this face. These days, my go-to tool path is the 3D scallop. I'm using a 3/4 inch ball end mill for this. The large diameter, coupled with a small step over, makes for a very clean surface finish. Again, I will go with my default feeds and speeds, and the same settings as the previous operation for geometry and heights. In the Passes tab, we set the milling direction and step over. I set them to inside to out, milling with a step over of 30 thousandths of an inch. The resulting toolpath takes about 2 minutes and 43 seconds to cut, and looks good to me. For the profile, I choose a 2D contour operation with 60 thousandths stock to leave radially, and I follow that up with a finish toolpath at a slower feed rate and full depth of cut with 2 sequential 30 thousandths passes. In most cases, this would be sufficient. If we take a little time to think about the part and how it will all come together, I think we can make it easier to fit. We can make some of these changes in CAM without modifying the part, and for some, we will have to modify the part. This is one of my favorite things about Fusion 360. Without having to go back and redesign and export a solid model back into CAM software, we can edit the part and bounce right back. With only a few adjustments, we'll be right back where we were. No need to start over from scratch, and much less hair-pulling frustration. There are bound to be a few small irregularities between the actual top and the 3D model. I vacuum formed these tops using an inside mold. If I used an outside mold, it would have been closer, but probably still some small irregularities. This part doesn't need to be completely solid. All I need is a clean, crisp glue joint between the top and the part. It will be much easier if I don't match the entire face with the instrument's top. I'm going to make a quick modification to make them fit easier. By quickly creating a sketch and drawing a couple of lines, I can extrude a cavity from the part. Then returning to the manufacturing environment, and with only a couple of modifications, use the operations previously created to generate the toolpath. Now for the cam modifications. This part will have to match the heel of the neck and the outline of the fretboard as well. It's not all that easy to glue these parts up in perfect alignment. I usually resort to leaving a little extra stock removed manually in specific places. This way, the parts are cut into the final shape by hand and will precisely match. I can achieve this by breaking the finish contour down into a couple of parts. I mill the face that needs to match the neck's heel right up to the solid body contour. The 3 remaining profiles are milled with 30 thousandths stock to leave for just a little material to work with in fit and finish. I hope this has been clarifying in one way or another. If only entertaining, that's great. If you learned something, even better. If you're inspired to take this process and adapt it into your own method, that's perfect. Thanks for sticking with me on this one. I know it gets a little complex. I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions in the comments. Thanks for watching.